over Hyacine, guys, the cutie patootie of Honkai Star Rail, or maybe you should. That's what we're here to talk about in today's video, guys. Going over all of her pros, cons, and in-betweens. And a lot of the main things she does can go either in the direction of pros or just kind of irrelevant for your account as a whole. We'll also be touching on her future-proof value as well. So if you really care about that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. That'll be at the end of the video, and I'll be telling you should you pull. Let's go ahead and hop into it now, guys. Starting off first with the first in-between, I guess you could say, which is the sustain. Now, we all know that she's an abundance character. Well, she's not an abundance character. Take that back. Take that back. She's a remembrance character, guys, okay? But she is technically still a sustain character. But with that being said, guys, the pro for this, if you have no sustain in your account already, she will heal you up. She is a sustain character that will heal you up. She'll keep your team alive, and that's all you really need to know there, right? Let's go ahead and hop into the first con now. If you have Gallagher with a newer limited sustain, that being like an Aventurine or that even being a Linkshot, I think that if you have either one of those characters, her value for your team does drop a lot. Obviously, there are other factors that kind of play into that, but I really wouldn't recommend pulling if you already have Gallagher with another newer limited sustain, because those two will keep your team alive. A-okay, no problem. If you're just looking for a pure sustainer, she won't be bringing much value, but like I said, there are multiple other things we need to talk about here. Secondly, the buffs she provides, guys. Now, for this also has a pro and con as well, guys. If you have HP scaling, DPS, or Tribi, the buffs that she provides, which is max HP, is going to be super, super good for them. Like Castress, Might, Blade, or Tribi for that matter. She is going to be really good for every single one of those circumstances because she gives them max HP. If you give them max HP, their damage goes up dramatically. So this is just really, really good for them, right? But the con to this, if you have no HP scaling DPS or you don't have Tribi, this buff literally is meaningless to you, and the only way this buff will gain meaning is if you pull one of those characters, and then also if you don't plan on pulling it's HP scaling DPS in the future, then this buff or the buff she provides really don't matter at all. So let's go ahead and hop into the next category here, guys, of the in-between, which is the damage output. All right, I don't know why I just put it's just overall damage, right? Okay, and that is going to be determined on the amount of HP taken plus consumed per turn. So if you're running them on teams like Castress, right, or you're running on teams with Might, or you're running on teams with Blade, or the enemy just attacks a lot in general, then hey, this is a huge pro for you. She's going to do a lot of damage because her damage literally scales off the amount of healing you're able to do. So this will turn out really good if you're just getting attacked very frequently or you're just consuming a lot of HP per turn. On to the con for the damage though, guys. If you're not taking much damage, whether you're consuming your own HP or the enemy is not attacking you as frequently and you're just not taking damage on a consistent basis, then her damage falls off the fucking cliff. This is really going to depend on what enemy you're taking because it doesn't, I guess, matter of how much damage overall they're taking. It's really the amount of times you're taking damage, because the more times you take damage, the more the talent builds up for Hyacinth's Memo Sprite, which if that builds up more, you do more healing, which then leads to more overall damage. So your damage consistency can go down if you are not getting attacked on a very frequent basis or you're not losing HP on a frequent basis. Now, with that being said, guys, there is one pro for Hyacine that doesn't really have like an in-between, and that's healing consistency. She heals you very, very consistently, or I guess the Memo Sprite heals you very, very consistently, because you will be healing just about every single time you take action. Her healing is like the same or on par with what kind of like Bailu's Invigorate is, but just at a much higher amount. So for healing consistency, she is going to keep you alive, hands down. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I think she is probably the best sustainer in the game when it comes to keeping you alive. Hopping into the next in-between here, which is AoE attacks. That means for pros, right? If you have a lot of single target DPS, aka like Fei Shao, aka like Aglia, aka like Cipher, aka like Castress, right? Any of those like really strong single target DPS, or where they're doing the main majority of their damage to one target and then maybe hitting adjacent targets with like a blast attack, she's going to be really good in those situations, and also really good for the Herda as well, because the Herda wants you to attack multiple times and hit multiple enemies so you can get stacks up. So then when her stacks build up, you can use ultimate to converge stacks and then get a higher damage output with the Herda's ultimate. But there is a con with this as well. If your account is mainly AoE DPS, which I mean, luckily for you, most of the DPS that we have in the game already are not really like super AoE oriented. Like some are for sure, like Argenti, for example, he's very AoE oriented. Jingyuan, I would consider more AoE oriented. But genuinely though, guys, other than the Herda, which really plays well off of him, everyone else here is pretty single target oriented or blast type oriented. So that does make her good in a lot of compositions. So while yes, this is a con, this probably won't affect the main majority of people's accounts just because most people's accounts are comprised of single target or blast type characters. Well, very few of those accounts are going to be consisted of basically just all AoE DPS, right? And now let's hop into the next pro besides Hyacine here, guys, which is the amount of healing damage scaling, because she gets her damage healing based off of how much she heals you. So from A, the amount she's actually healing you, and then also from B, the amount of time she can actually heal you on a consistent basis. That's why I said with something like this right here with the damage formula here, you want her to be healing you up a lot, which plays into damage, but it's really good that her damage does play off the healing factor, because that is literally the whole thing you're building your kit off of it. So you literally focus on the main thing she needs to do, which is keep your team alive. She's going to get damage out of that from you building her that way. So let's hop into the last little point here I have, guys, which is stats needed. Now, hopping into the pro here first, she gives herself 100% free crit rate, she gives herself free damage percentage, and she's also giving herself free HP, or I guess she's giving herself HP scaling for her healing, which does make her easy to build in a sense that you can just build her like a normal sustain character would by just going full into HP. You have 100% free crit rate, so that does relieve you from needing to run any crit rate on her. The 100% free crit rate, absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie, that is huge, okay? Crit rate being one of the hardest stats to get in the game. There are a lot of other sources you can get the crit damage from, just from having the team, and the team like giving like AoE crit damage buffs, so she can take use of those things for sure. So hey, having 100% free crit rate here really nice, having the free damage percent here really nice, and having HP scaling is super nice as well. But there is one con with this. First of all, insane speed required. Like, yes, while you don't need any crit rate, arguably a harder stat to get is speed, and my god, she needs so much fucking speed. 180 minimum is what I would recommend, but generally you do want to be hitting over 200 speed with her, which, let's be honest, it's probably easier for her to hit that threshold than other DPS, but my god, getting 200 speed on a character, I think just for about any character other than Firefly, that is a fucking bitch and a half to get, and that is a major con for her in my opinion. But the final con for this is, I do have two cons for this: weird substat combos. So now, instead of like aiming for your normal like HP, speed, effect res, you're really aiming for like HP, crit damage effect. So your gear that you're needing to farm over her is a bit of a weird combo. Now overall it's a very minuscule thing, but I'm talking in terms of what you already have pre-farmed on your account if you didn't know what you needed to build her with already. But if I'm really thinking about it, you're probably going to be farming for her new set anyway, so is that really that big of a deal that you're having to get weird substat combos? I really don't know. I put it there as a con because people might already have stuff farmed on their account that they really can't use because she has weird substat combos. And then finally, guys, she gets a cleanse. Better than Bailu already, guys. Am I right? Better than Bailu. Hey, you need to cleanse. Every character except for Bailu has a cleanse. Isn't that fucking funny? Isn't that unreal? Please give Bailu a buff to give her a cleanse, please God. Now what I want to talk about, guys, is the overall future proof and should you summon for Miss Hyacinth. So on the future proof topic first, future proofing, I feel like that she will be really good for your account in the future. Just like every other sustain, if you don't already have 2 sustains in your account, she's going to carry your account for the long future. She's a very consistent healing base, meaning she can just heal you so often and so frequently that whether you pull her for this team that she's best in slot for or not, she will still be a really good healer for your team, or a really good sustain character for your team. On top of that too, guys, she does offer sub DPS levels of damage, so with sub DPS levels of damage comes just you dealing more damage to the enemies as well. And I think that she is going to be outclassing the likes of like Ling Sha here, and then also the likes of Aventurine. Now maybe not the likes of Ling Sha on a full Sin break team, but Ling Sha, in terms of her normal damage output on not super break teams, I think she does outpace that and outclass that for sure. The only thing that she really lacks in is going to be that buff department, because the buff that she gives, the HP percentage she gives, is so niche that I don't really know who's going to take use of that in the future unless they release more HP scaling units. And they honestly, HSR doesn't have a good track record of that already, because we had Blade, and then you skip a whole version, and then you had My Day in Castros, right? So hey, kind of down bad there. And then as for should you summon for this character, I genuinely think she's a really good pickup for your account. Do I think she's a must summon? If you have 2 sustains in your account and you don't have Castros, no, I don't think she is. I think she is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think you should waste your Stellar Jades on her if you already have 2 sustains in your account that are keeping your team alive already. The core of her kit is to keep you alive, and she does a really good job at that for sure. But if your other sustains are keeping you alive already, then what's the point of pulling for her, in my opinion? I don't know, guys. The sub DPS level of damage, not really worth it to me if I already have someone keeping my team alive and I don't have Castros on my account. But that's neither here nor there. If you want to see a whole versus video with something like Hyacine versus Cipher and an Axa, then go watch the previous video I put out on this on my channel already. I'm sure you'll like to watch that. But anyways, guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Later, bye-bye.